Jeffrey Epstein was a college dropout who became a billionaire with one known client. In January of 2026, the Department of Justice released over 3.5 million pages of documents about him, which reignited one of the most persistent and most contested questions in the entire case. Was Jeffrey Epstein a spy? Epstein possessed a fraudulent Austrian passport, confirmed by federal agents who found it in his Manhattan safe during his 2019 arrest. The document bore his photo, but a false name. The stamp showed it had been used to enter France, Spain, the UK, and Saudi Arabia. It listed his country of residence as Saudi Arabia. Epstein's attorneys told prosecutors he had obtained it as a precaution against kidnapping while traveling abroad as a wealthy Jewish man. While that explanation may have been true, intelligence historians note that a fake passport is also a standard element of espionage tradecraft.
And I think it's vital to look at the timeline that he had this passport in the 80s and 90s, and Vicky Ward, amongst other journalists, including Jesse Kornbluth, who also claims he was a personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein, said that around this time in the 80s and 90s, Epstein would always tell people I'm a kind of financial bounty hunter. I'm a bounty hunter. He said, I find lost or stolen money for the government, or I do it for really rich people. Vicky Ward said one of the men for whom he tracked down money was Adnan Khashoggi, the Saudi businessman. And Kornbluth said that he had done it for, I believe, Jackie Onassis's husband, like other heads of states, arms dealers. But that phrase, high-level bounty hunter, financial bounty hunter, kept coming up, and that he would track down offshore assets. Yeah, if you did that throughout the 80s and 90s, when it came time to hide your own assets, you'd be like, I know where.
Oh, I know where to put them. In 2008, Epstein received a plea deal in Florida for charges that included sexual abuse and exploitation of minors. The sweetheart deal was so lenient, it was later described by a federal judge as a violation of victims' rights. The U.S. attorney handling the case was Alexander Acosta. Multiple journalists, including Vicky Ward in her investigation for the Daily Beast, reported that Acosta later told associates he had been instructed to back off because Epstein
belonged to intelligence and was above my pay grade.
The January 2026 DOJ files add a layer of documentation to Acosta's claim. An FBI memo from 2020 records a confidential human source stating that Epstein's attorney, Alan Dershowitz, told Acosta directly that Epstein
belonged to both U.S. and allied intelligence services.
No transcript of Acosta's own words has been publicly released, but the FBI memo confirms the Bureau formally documented the allegation.
For him to get 6 days a week out of jail, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, is crazy.
Yeah.
Unless he's an asset and you need him to be out doing work.
Dershowitz appeared on a recent February 2026 episode of Piers Morgan Uncensored, where he argued that if Epstein had been a spy before pleading guilty to the sexual abuse claims, he would have told Dershowitz in order to get a better deal. Dershowitz said plainly that Epstein's intelligence connections could have been his
get out of jail free card. Well, he got out of jail free, so
I think they were, right? Yeah.
Confirmed. Thanks,
you said one thing right, Alan.
Dumbass.
Dershowitz said it would have been easy for him to go to anyone he needed to, even the President of the United States, to secure a deal that would have allowed Epstein to avoid jail time altogether. Dershowitz also stated that he represented Mossad in the 1990s and has a good relationship with current and former heads of Mossad who have denied any connection to Epstein. Former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett stated with
100% certainty
that the allegations Epstein was a spy are
categorically and totally false.
Former Mossad director Yoshi Cohen told the Free Press that Epstein had
absolutely nothing
to do with the Mossad. Dershowitz told the Times that
no intelligence agency would really trust
Epstein. The newly released files have revived a competing hypothesis. Epstein was working with Russia, not Israel. Christopher Steele, former head of MI6's Russia desk, has stated publicly that it was, quote, quite likely Epstein was recruited by Russian organized criminals. The Polish government has launched a formal investigation into that angle. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced the investigation on February 5th, 2026, framing the Russian intelligence question explicitly as a national security issue.
I don't need to tell you how serious the increasingly likely possibility that Russian intelligence services co-organize this operation is for the security of the Polish state.
He added that if a foreign intelligence service helped enable or exploit Epstein's operation, it could mean they
also possess compromising material against many leaders still active today.
Ding, 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 ding.
And I think it ain't stopped either.
No. The two theories are not mutually exclusive. Intelligence historians note that assets are sometimes run by more than one service simultaneously. As Aaron Bregman, a lecturer in Israeli intelligence at King's College London, told Al Jazeera,
"It is unlikely that Epstein was not approached by the Mossad."
Whether that approach became something more operational is the question the documents raise without fully answering. Ehud Barak is a significant figure mentioned multiple times in the newly released files. He's a former Israeli general, the most decorated soldier in Israeli military history, former head of military intelligence, former prime minister, and former defense minister. He is also the man who, according to Epstein's own calendars released by the House Oversight Committee, visited Epstein's Manhattan properties approximately 36 times between 2013 and 2017, a rate of nearly once per month. After one visit in 2017, Barak was photographed leaving Epstein's 66th Street apartment building with his face partially covered in a manner interpreted by observers as deliberate avoidance of surveillance cameras. Barak has acknowledged the relationship and expressed regret. Then in December 2018, a recently revealed email shows Epstein writing to Barak,
"You should make it clear that I don't work for Mossad," smiley face.
Barak replied,
"You or I?"
Epstein answered,
"That I don't." Smiley face.
The Times of Israel read this exchange as dark humor between the two men as they joked about circulating rumors. There is no authoritative resolution in any document released to date, and the exchange remains up for interpretation.
They were talking about going into a meeting, like a financial meeting, and being like, "You should make it clear that I don't work for Mossad." Wink. Like, what is this smiley emoticon?
Again, it's that weird, like, joking, dark humor mixed with inside baseball. Like, to me, it reads as, I derive pleasure from knowing things that other people don't, and kind of like joking with my friends who are also in on it. Like, we're so cool and smart. We run everything and people don't even know.
There's so much circumstantial evidence in the Epstein files pointing to the fact that Epstein had intelligence connections at the highest level amongst multiple different countries, including September 2018 text to Steve Bannon going into a skiff, talk tomorrow, like soundproof, super duper secret soundproof rooms that he's going in. And then Epstein came out of that and texted Steve Bannon, "You would have loved my tech meeting in the skiff." So as recently as September 2018, he was going in there into meetings at high levels of the United States government with Ehud Barak with him. If that all was about to pop off and it was about to come out that he was intelligence, either you extract him so that it doesn't come out, or
you take him out one way or the other.
I think he got taken out.
I definitely don't think he killed himself, and I don't think he was murdered either. I think he was taken out of there.
The question is, was it FSB? Was it CIA? Was it Mossad? Was it, it's not really clear cut in the documents what his role was technically, but it is clear how he functioned, and he operated above, I think, any particular country, because the leadership of all these countries changes. But the people that stay in power with the money that they have and the connections that they have, they stay in power forever. And that's who he rolled with, and I think that's who he worked for. If you enjoyed this, you'll love our full podcast episodes. You can find the full episode linked in the description below. YouTube thinks you'll love this one next, and if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button so you never miss a new clip.